Cheap bikes are better than expensive bikes, and I want the world to know it. They're more practical, more accessible, and more fun for more people. I want to celebrate cheap bikes and explain why, when, and how they could be better than bikes which cost up to £10,000. Over the last few years, we have done some incredible rides and challenges using budget bikes to show just how amazing they are. Manon rode 100 miles on a bike that cost £100. Hank bought a bike and rode to London for less than the price of a train ticket. Ollie bought the world's cheapest Pinarello and rode up the Stelvio, and the Amazon Eurobike is the gift that just keeps on giving. So clearly there's no correlation between the price of your bike and the enjoyment you get when you're out cycling. Plus, irrespective of the value of your bike, the view you get never changes. Now here on GCN Tech, we're often focused on the more expensive and performance end of the scale, but I feel like it's important that we remain as a channel for everybody, every type of bike and every type of budget. So if you want to help support what we do, well, subscribe to GCN Tech. And if you want to really become part of our community and really support what we're doing, well, consider joining our YouTube membership program. So what actually is it about cheap bikes which makes them great? Well, aside from the obvious low price point, there's really practical things, like you can actually lock your bike up at the train station or outside the shops without the fear that it's going to be immediately stolen. I mean, sure, you're going to want a good quality bike lock still, but a budget bike is going to attract far less attention than an expensive one. You can also leave your budget bike in big office bike racks like this without the fear of it getting chipped and scratched on your immaculate paintwork. And this is actually one of my biggest fears when I leave my bike in the bike rack here at GCN Megabase. It's not that people don't care, it's just that when you're in a rush, well, that is when accidents can happen. Now, if you've got a slightly cheaper, more budget bike, chances are it's probably already got a few little scratches and chips on it. So is anyone going to notice if a few more appear? Certainly not me anyway. Bikes like this are the workhorses of the cycling world, and they just seem to keep on going and going and going, thanks to basic and reliable tech. No carbon fiber, no disc brakes, no electric gears, and no tubeless tires. Just simple designs that have stood the test of time and use materials like steel and aluminium. And you've got loads of different designs and styles to choose from, depending on the cycling that you want to do. You've got road bikes, hybrid bikes, commuting bikes, city bikes, folding bikes, and dare I say it, even mountain bikes, all available for just a few £100, euros, or dollars. And when it comes to buying these bikes, we got loads of different places to look at. You got eBay, Facebook Marketplace, local newspapers, but in my opinion, one of the best places to buy a cheap used bike from is a community or charity bike shop. This bike I purchased a few years ago. Here in the city of Bath, we have this, the Julian House Bike Workshop, where they take old bikes, refurbish them, and then sell them, the profits of which go to a charity which is helping vulnerable people. Now, I've purchased quite a few cheap bikes from here in the past to use in videos, and I've also done my fair share of donating bikes too, so it's a double win for the charity. But using a refurbished bike is not only really cost effective, it's also great for the environment too. It means less materials and less energy are required compared to what it takes to make a bike from brand new. And then also it means the bike doesn't have to be shipped all the way around the world from the point of manufacture to the point of sale, which means the CO2 footprint is reduced massively. And recycling and reusing a bike also means it stays out of the rubbish pile for longer and means there's less bikes going into landfill, which is fantastic news. One of the biggest advantages of a budget bike using simpler technology is that the parts are much, much cheaper too. A 7 or 8 speed chain is going to cost around £10. A set of rim brake pads is going to cost less than a £5, and a gear or brake cable is going to cost less than the price of a cup of coffee. And this is great news because it means more people are going to be able to service and repair their own bikes. And even if you don't know how to service and repair your own bikes, well, because the cost is low, you feel brave enough to probably give it a go yourself without running into the fear of ruining your super expensive bike. And when it comes to performance, budget bikes are going to be heavier and slower than a top spec bike. But does that really matter in the grand scheme of things? Well, to me, yes it does. You see, I come from a racing background. I still go bike racing now, and I've got a real interest and passion for all of the tech and design that's associated with creating performance bikes. But if we were to take a step back and look at the somewhat unscientific metric of which bike gives you the best bang for your buck, the budget bike nearly always comes out on top, and that's because of the laws of diminishing returns. You see, to find the last little bits of performance gains, costs a truckload of money, whereas big performance gains come at a relatively low cost. I think it's important to remember that cycling is ultimately about having fun and using the bike as a method of transport to get you from point A to point B in whatever way you like. And I mean, if we go back far enough in time, we need to acknowledge why the bicycle even exists. And that is because originally the horse was used as a method of transport, and simply the cost of keeping and feeding a horse became so high that it was unachievable for most people. The solution to that problem? Something called a velocipede, which if we go through the evolution of that invention, well, we eventually end up at the safety bicycle, the type of bike which we all know and love. And in 2024, the same still rings true. The cost of a horse is still considerably higher than the cost of a bike. At which point I want to highlight the exact reason as to why I think budget bikes are best. I mean, I said it right at the very start of this video. Budget bikes are more accessible to more people, which leads to more people using the bike for transport, for exercise, and a hobby, which in my eyes is absolutely brilliant. Long live the budget bike. I hope you enjoyed my take on this subject. If you have, give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments section down below what it is about budget bikes that does it for you. And of course, if you want to support our channel and support what we do, subscribe to GCN Tech.